All right, so these are my apples. These are apples we're going to use today for making our cider. Some of these are pretty hard to get your hands on, mostly real cider varieties. I'll tell you about every single one here. The first one at the top is called Chisel Jersey. It's, they all tend to be pretty small like this. They're pretty thick-skinned. It is a traditional English cider variety. And it's a little bit special because it can be used for single varietal cider. In other words, you can use nothing but this apple to make a batch of cider. And I've done that in the past, and it makes some pretty amazing cider. Why it can be used by itself is because, as well as having an acceptable level of, obviously sugar for fermentation, it's also a little bit tannic. The thick skin and the nature of the skin as well is that it has a lot of tannin in it. Which is something that ultimately gives the cider quite a bit of structure, quite a bit of body. It's not so much body like viscosity, like thickness, but it makes your mind think, there's a lot here. It's the same thing with wine. I mean, tannin gives structure and the sense of body, and of course it's a great flavor. So Chisel Jersey, and that's actually classed as a bittersweet. So most real cider apples tend to be called bittersweet apples, meaning they have enough sugar. Bitter, referring to the tannin that I was talking about. Then the next apple down is actually Dabinette. This is a bittersweet, and again, it's an apple that can be used as a single varietal cider producing apple. And they're a little bit bigger than Chisel Jersey. Their skins aren't quite as thick. They press really nice. You get a lot of juice off them. Pretty decent gravity, pretty sweet, quite a bit of sugar. And again, tannic. Next one down. Now this one is probably the most special. This one in the middle is most red, dark red. This is the most special apple here. This is called Kingston Black. This is classified, it's known as a bitter sharp. So what that means is, it may be lacking a little bit in sugar. It's great for blending. I mean, not way off. I mean, you can make a single varietal cider with it, but the kind of situations you drink it in would be pretty specific, because bitter sharp, the bitterness refers to, of course, the tannin I was talking about. Sharp, it's acidic as well. So when I say acidic, the acid we talk about in apples is malic acid. That's the sharpness. So if you think about apples like Gravenstein and things like that, they're quite sharp tasting, not flabby, but you really feel the tingle, the acid on your tongue. That's malic acid. So these have more than, higher than normal malic acid content and higher than normal tannic acid content as well. So, but these are hard to get. But they're prized by a lot of cider makers as giving a really fabulous product, especially when used in a blend. Maybe a third of all your apples might be this apple variety. So Kingston Black, again, really small, really beautiful. It's actually something you can use in cooking quite a bit. Things like pork and stuff like that. You can make sauces with it because of that tannin, because of how it works with the food. The next apple down is now. Thank goodness this is something you can actually get here. You have to look around for it. It's a golden russet. So russet refers to the fact that basically the skin kind of looks a bit like sandpaper. It's rough and it's thick and it's not shiny. And this is definitely an eating apple. This is actually classed as just a sweet apple, an eating apple. But it's kind of on the cusp. It's also got quite a bit of tannin, so it's kind of on the cusp of bittersweet. But it is sweet, and there's a lot of sugar. Of all these apple varieties, and there's one more to go through down here, this one has the highest sugar content. We get the best gravity off it. When you drink the juice, it's almost syrupy. And so, it yields a high alcohol product. I think it's great used in a blend, because a couple of these varieties are going to, they're not going to be great in terms of the sugar that they offer for the juice and for the fermentation. This is going to bring the sugar. The others are going to bring a lot of other flavor. So that's golden russet. You definitely can get this around. And this is often referred to as a North American cider variety. I'm not really sure why. I mean, people obviously have realized it's good for cider, and it's something we have in North America. I mean, these other varieties typically are only going to be found in France or the English Isles, or with crazy hobbyists in the rest of the world. All right, so this last apple, the one at the bottom of the case here, is Ashton Brown Jersey. Doesn't look spectacular, you know. I mean, it's actually an apple you can eat. I mean, I don't know how much of it I'd eat. It's a little tannic. It's not that sweet, but it's a cider variety again, very specific English cider variety, and it's classed as a bittersweet. I've found I can make single varietal cider with it, although technically I don't think that's what you're supposed to do with it, but I don't care because it works. I've done a couple ciders with it, and it's been fantastic. And this is going into our blend, so again, this is going to give some unique flavors that are associated with this apple, and of course, as I always say, it's going to give us the tannin, being the cider variety, being the bittersweet that it is, and some sugar. So Chisel Jersey, Dabinet, Kingston Black, Golden Russet, Ashton Brown Jersey, all beautiful varieties to mix together. And we're mixing these in roughly equal proportions. I think it's going to make an amazing cider. We're going to love it.